Hi, I'm Laura Bronner, a gal with a backpack and a camera exploring the world to learn more about the people and places and food in it, and hopefully sharing some of that magic with you. For the last few weeks, I've been traveling through Europe with a Eurail Pass, something I'm trying out for the very first time. There have been some ups and some downs along the way, and in this video, I'm hoping to help you avoid some of those downs and hopefully have a few more ups on your Eurail journey. Good afternoon. As some of you may know, I recently took an absolute dream trip around Europe with Eurail. It's a trip that I have dreamed of taking for the last 15 years. If you've missed any of those videos, I will link the playlist up here so you can start from the very beginning about why this trip means so much to me, all of the cities that I stopped along the way, things to do, my plans, and everything like that. But this video, I'm going to focus on the Eurail Pass. I'm going to give you my full review, the experiences I had, tips, things that I wish I had known before I booked my ticket, before I started plotting my route. I will offer some advice about what you should do before you plan your route, whether or not it's worth the price. And at the end of the video, I will offer some alternative options that are cheaper, perhaps more convenient, depending on what part of Europe you're going to be traveling to. So let's get into it. There are tons of pass options to choose from on the Eurail website. So the first thing you need to figure out is how many days you're going to travel by train during your trip around Europe. A travel day means that you are taking at least one train, but you can take as many trains as you need to on your travel days. For example, if you're going from Vienna to Brussels and you need to take 3 trains to get there, but they're all taken on the same day, then you only use one of your travel days. However, you also use up a whole travel day if you're taking the train 1 hour from Vienna to Bratislava. So be sure you're considering the value for money you get out of each of your travel days. However, there are also passes that are valid for the entire month, which means you can travel as many times as you'd like any day of your trip if you choose to purchase this pass. So I had 5 travel days across the 2 weeks of my trip. The 5-day global pass is valid for 1 month. So during the course of 1 whole month, you have 5 days in which you can have pretty much unlimited travel. You can literally turn it on the day before, the day of, and that becomes one of your travel days. You've used it up. But if you're going from Prague to Brussels in 1 day, you can take all the trains that you need to take, and that's still only 1 day. It's not one train trip. So this 5-day global pass costs $282. I also had to pay $6 for a seat reservation to get from Bratislava to Prague, and it was an additional $32 for a seat reservation on the Eurostar to go from Brussels to London. So in total, the 5-day pass for the journey that I took was $320. I broke that down after my trip and looked at what the cheapest train options would have been to go to the exact same cities that I visited, and it worked out to be about $20 cheaper than taking the Eurail Pass. Now, I think that had I known that before I booked, I still would have used the Eurail Pass because it was so convenient to be able to book the day of, to choose which time I wanted on the day. The ease of the app is unbelievable. So yeah, for me, that $20 was like paying for the convenience of being able to book at the very last minute, something that made the trip a lot better because I realized, oh, well, actually, I want to spend more time in Prague or less time in Bratislava or more time in Vienna. So I could pick on the day or the day before after arriving in the city and seeing just how much there was to do. Obviously, if you are pre-booking your trains without a Eurail Pass and you want to save and get the best price for those tickets, you have to book at least a month in advance to get the best ticket prices for the trains. So it requires a lot more forward planning, but if that's something you're happy with and you know that your trip is going to be set in stone and the times of those trains are going to be the ones that you've booked 6 weeks before the trip starts, then you can save money, and it is a little bit of a better deal than the Eurail Pass. That being said, if you are under 27 or over 60, the ticket price is heavily reduced. So it's definitely worth looking into. I think that for the student passes or for the senior passes, you're getting a lot of travel for your money. I think you almost wouldn't even have to think about how many trains you're going to take on your trip, because it really is just such a good deal. So I highly recommend checking those out on the website. I will put all of the links below to everything that I'm talking about so that you can really easily navigate to these places. So there are a few things that you want to think about before you're planning your trip. The first is, will you need to make reservations for seats on the trains that you're going to be taking with your Eurail Pass? If you need to make reservations, you have to pay a little bit more on top of what you've already paid for your Eurail Pass. For example, when I booked the train from Bratislava to Prague, I had to pay $6. I had to go through the app, go to the website, and pay and even print out the ticket. It's the same with the Eurostar. You can go on the Eurail website. You can also simply use the Rail Planner app. I highly recommend downloading it even before you get your Eurail Pass. Even if you're just thinking about getting a Eurail Pass, the Rail Planner app is unbeatable. It's so easy to see the train times. You can set up a little schedule so that you save the train times that you want to use, but it doesn't start using a travel day. So it's just saving the trips that you want to possibly take later, and then you can go back to your list and see all the different train times that are available for the ones that you've saved. It's worth noting, especially with reservations, that if you plan to travel around France, Spain, Italy, these countries require reservations on almost every single train. So if that's where the majority of your travel is going to be, the Eurail Pass is probably not worth it for you, because you're just going to have to keep paying on top of the pass. It's better to plan in advance, use the actual Train Italia app or the French or Spanish train app. So who is this pass for? The pass is for people who love train travel. If you're planning to travel Europe by train anyway, I really recommend checking the Rail Planner app or checking the Eurail website and seeing if it's going to be the convenient option for you to train travel around. It's truly convenient. It is so easy. I really enjoyed the ease of simply just switching on the train for that day. I had my ticket and you just hop on the train. It's so great, and it's so nice to not have to think about, oh, that didn't book the train, oh no. You go to the stand and you try to get your ticket and, oh, there's no more seats for the train. Oh, it's such a stress. You have to wait or you've missed it. Anyway, I think if you really want convenience and you're happy to pay a little bit more for that convenience than the absolute best price for train travel, which requires you to book in advance, then I think that the Eurail Pass is for you. I don't think the Eurail Pass is for the absolute budget traveler. If you're under 27, it might be a good option for you, especially if you're going to be traveling for a long period of time, and especially if you're going to be traveling in countries where you don't need to make seat reservations. But I would still say to double check, because there are things like Flixbus, which is so cheap. If I had known about the Flixbus, I probably wouldn't have needed to take the train from Vienna to Bratislava. It's only an hour away. I used a whole travel day on my pass just to take that 1 hour train ride when you can get a bus for, half the price. So I think that you should really do your research if you're on a budget. Sometimes it's even cheaper to fly with Ryanair or Wizz Air. So it depends on what your priorities are while you're traveling. But if you're looking for the absolute best budget option for traveling around Europe, the Eurail Pass is not it. Overall, I would totally do it again. I had a really good time. I would probably do it a little bit differently. I think I would plan to use the Eurail Pass for much longer distances. I think when you're doing it that way, when you're planning a trip towards the end of my trip, when I went from Prague to Nuremberg to Brussels, you're really getting a lot of value for your money with the pass, because those train tickets are $90, $65, $70, $80, even booking in advance. So it is great value if you're taking these longer journeys. So you can see so much of Europe and travel really overnight if you wanted to, or during the day if you have lots of time and you can just, use one of your travel days to get from one side of Europe to the other. In that case, it's fantastic. And that is the sort of trip that I would use the Eurail Pass for again. Train travel was not quite as glamorous as I thought it was going to be. The train quality and the seats and the cleanliness vary by country, they vary by city, they vary by time of day. So I just had this image of always having a nice table and a view and writing in my notebook, and it wasn't mostly ever like that. But I had an amazing time. I hope that you found this helpful. If you have any other questions about getting a Eurail Pass, let me know in the comments below and I will do my best to answer them. I hope that you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really supports my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.